Very good. Okay, I am the subject of my universe.
Shaivism homologizes cosmic processes with personal ones.
Stop. That's a very important point. Very important point, and one of the charms of Shaivism, that it said, if you want to understand God, look at yourself. Whatever you have, God has, only He has it in its perfect, pristine, and expanded form. We have it in a contracted form. So that'll emerge during this discussion. But I think that's very wonderful. Some would say it's solipsism, but instead I think it's quite realistic, that we're made in God's image, and we have God's energy of conscious energy and emotional energy and volitional energy. He has those energies in perfection. We have them in part. And that's our dilemma, of course. So let's go on.
Consider the world you create while dreaming. You create a universe within yourself that seems objective. You feel that you are just one character in your dream, and your world is filled with other people. When you wake up, you discover that there has been no one but you. It all took place within you. Shaivism says that one day we will awaken from the dream of our waking existence to discover the same thing. There is no one else here but me. All this whole universe, is the play of my awareness. And even though I see many, there is only one of us here. Usually we say that there are two sorts of things in our world, matter and consciousness. Matter is inert and passive, while consciousness is active and can understand, analyze, think, and feel. Matter is out there, and consciousness is in here. But in a dream, what seems to be matter is revealed upon awakening to be consciousness.
So when you're in a dream, you see what looks like a stone wall or a house made of wood, and it seems like it's matter. But when you wake up, you realize it wasn't matter at all. It was only consciousness taking that form.
In the waking state, science has shown that by splitting the atom, an enormous amount of energy is revealed to be latent in matter. Likewise, when our vision becomes subtle, we discover that not only is energy latent in matter, but consciousness is as well. The Upanishads say, "Wake up, O man, wake up from the dream of separation. Let us go one step further. Everything in your life that you know through your own awareness. Every person, every fact, every thought, every fantasy, every fear, every event, every outside object is always registered in your awareness. You cannot know anything outside of your awareness. Thus, there is no universe outside of your own awareness."
So this is a very important point to grasp, that you can't get out of the awareness box, because everything you know through awareness. So it's very good to think about it. Go on.
Thus, there is no universe.
You can say that. You can read that again.
Thus, there is no universe outside of your own awareness. Wherever my awareness falls, those objects it perceives exist. Whatever my awareness does not perceive does not exist for me. If I try to imagine something outside my awareness is imagining it.
So it's easy to imagine that there's a world of non-awareness outside my awareness, but in what status does that world have? It's only imagined by your awareness. Hence, you can never know anything but the inside of your own awareness. Does that make you feel claustrophobic? Or does it liberate you? Okay, go on.
A Shaivite sage said, "Non-existence is contained in existence and is not other than it, given that there is no trace of anything outside of it."
Do you get that?
Sage Shemaraja says, in this world nothing exists which is outside the range of consciousness. Consciousness is the supreme light by which everything else shines. It holds everything within itself. In devotional yoga, the bhakta's attitude is that God is great and he is small. That is a perfectly legitimate attitude. But Shaivism's stance is much bolder, much more outlandish. It says that you are not the little bhakta who says, God is great, I am small. You are Shiva himself. Shaivism invites you to contemplate, I am Shiva, here and now. Let me add that, as we will see later, there is also space for the bhakta's attitude within Shaivism's large and compassionate borders.
Let me say something about that, that last point. Often bhaktas are freaked out or offended by a non-dual point of view, and they say it's arrogant. You shouldn't say, I am God, I'm Shiva. You should say, I worship God, I'm small, I worship God. Now that's as I'm saying here, that's a perfectly legitimate attitude and very good for the person who relates to it. But it's not antithetical, really, to the other point of view. And the point of view, I am Shiva, is not antithetical to the point of view of a devotee. Both of them exist in consciousness. And if one of them brings you closer to God, that's the one you should use. And if you're able to use both of them, that's also very good. So they don't have to be at war. One being right doesn't mean the other's wrong. It's not like that. Both can be right in their own sphere. Okay.
This room I am in exists for me because I am here. When I go to sleep at night, my outer world ceases to exist. When I open my eyes, the world exists again for me. When Shiva opens his eyes, the universe is created. When he closes his eyes, it disappears. You will never have a universe beyond your own awareness. Thus, you are the aware subject of the universe you experience. You are Shiva.
When you open your eyes, the universe is created. When you go to sleep at night, the universe is uncreated. Hence, E.G., not E.G., QED, you are Shiva. The Spandakarikas talks about Shiva, when he opens his eyelids, the universe is created. And when he closes them, it disappears. So that's analogous to the way we wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night. But if you take it one step further, it says that it's not only analogous, it's the same. And so you are that Shiva. It's very good to contemplate. I am that Shiva that creates this universe. Therefore, there's nothing to be afraid of, since it all happens within me. But we've bought this illusion of separation, and other people then become threats to us. But if we really understand it radically, as it is, everything exists within us. There's nothing to be afraid of. Go ahead.
Awareness is much more than a luminous screen on which we record things. Everything that we want in life, whether it is success, money, love, or health, is held in our awareness. The irony of the situation is that it is awareness itself that we seek. These external goals are each reducible to an inner world goal, an attribute of awareness. More fundamental than our desire for money, fame, and relationship is the feeling that these things give us, the feeling of importance, of love, of security.
So which would you rather have? $1 billion or great happiness and security and joy? So would you rather be Bill Gates or Bhagwan Nityananda? You can think about it. All right, go on.
And it is only human attention that can solve it. Human attention is what we seek from our loved ones. When we feel distraught, we seek the comforting presence of a loving person.
Have I convinced you? I need your attention, Mami says. Go on.
Nisargadatta Maharaj says, do not undervalue attention. It means interest and also love. To know, to do, to discover, or to create, you must give your heart to it, which means attention. All the blessings flow from it.
Okay.
In India, they put a statue in a shrine and thousands of pilgrims come and worship it. In Pandharpur, in the state of Maharashtra, there is an image of Lord Vital in a temple that has been a place of pilgrimage for over 1,000 years. That same image was glimpsed by Yaneshwar, Tukaram and Eknath. They wrote devotional poems to it hundreds of years ago. When you see today that very same image that they looked at, you can feel the vibrations of all the love and human attention over the course of many years. That image and many others that are similarly regarded have come alive with Shakti. The secret lies simply in human attention. For the same reason, famous landmarks and buildings and places where significant events happen have a special energy. This is why also famous people have an unmistakable charisma. They are not solitary individuals like the rocks on Mars, but are a center of many people's awareness.
This is why Baba says, I welcome you all with love, and that's my worship, because I worship God in people, because they are centers of divinity, divine consciousness.
When in meditation we turn that blessed attention on ourselves, we nourish ourselves profoundly. In human attention there is love, luminous intelligence and energy. It has more vitamins than vitamins, more protein than protein, and more restorative power than the latest new remedy. Awareness itself is the most nourishing substance in creation. It is the fountain of youth that Ponce de Leon was searching for. It is said that we are what we eat, but much more so, we are thoughts and impressions the thoughts and impressions that we entertain. The Shiva Sutras say, Yanam Anam. Knowledge is food. How we use and where we put our attention is decisive in defining the quality and profundity of our lives.
That if we put our attention on the highest, that uplifts our life. The highest being, of course, God or the self. And so, also that we are actually in control of our attention. We're the masters of our own attention. Although we become automatons because of our training, we get obsessed by things. And so it grabs our attention. It hijacks our attention. But actually we are the masters of our attention. And the more sadhana we do, the more yoga we do, the stronger we are. We become at the center, at the controls of our attention. Then we decide whether we want our attention to go to negativity and tearing thoughts, or towards the self, towards consciousness. And so attention is so important, where we put it and what happens with it.
Many years ago, the English architect Douglas Harding was in India in the mountains. He looked across a vast expanse in the Himalayas. One moment he had the conventional understanding that his head was a small circle in a larger circle, that vast scene which contained it. The next moment he had the experience that the scene he was looking at was actually inside his head. He had no head. Awareness was a blazing entity that sat on his shoulders and contained everything he saw. For him on that day, it was not a theory or an insight, but a direct experience. This experience changed him forever, and he wrote his famous book, On Having No Head, which is a witty treatise whose essential point is that nothing we see, hear, feel, or think is outside our awareness.